Welcome, folks, to today's weekly webinar, Welcoming New Users, Episode 8, our 8th installment of Welcoming New Users, this time with the end of term in JMC Teacher. And, whether or not you're a new user to JMC or somebody who just needs a quick refresher over a process that you maybe do a couple times a year, welcome. And this short webinar should be a primer for everything that you need to do to submit your grades at the end of the term here. My name is Jake Vanskoy. I am a trainer here at JMC. I've been with JMC full-time for just a little over 5 years now. And prior to that, I was a high school English teacher that used JMC Teacher quite a bit, and an instructional coach. So I'm joined today by Brian Wall. Brian, you want to say hi?
Sure, Jake. I'm Brian. I am also a trainer with JMC, been with them for about a little over 2 years now. I retired in school life a couple of years ago after 34 years as a teacher and then a middle school and high school principal, and a JMC user for probably at least 30 of those 34 years.
Nice. All right. Well, thanks for joining us, Brian. And Brian will be keeping an eye on your questions. So if you have any questions as we go through this presentation, please feel free to use that Q&A chat feature. So no matter if your school wraps up with traditional grades or standard-based reporting, we're here to help. Add in those final marks and closing comments, then pass those along with the term's results to the office. It's time to set the stage for the new term ahead. Jumping right into submitting course grades in JMC Teacher, and I think the first order of business is understanding how your school reports and how you as a teacher are to report at the end of the term. So you got one of two options. You're either reporting end of term course grades, which would be those, the one mark that stands for an entire course, whether it be like math or English or science or social studies, and they're getting a letter grade. Traditionally, this would be like an A or a B or something along those lines. It could also be a number or another character, but it's one mark that stands for the entire course. Your other option is to report on a standard-based report card, and that's where you would have the individual standards listed out, and you would be supplying a mark for each of those standards that would fall within a course or curricular area. So knowing which one you are reporting on, whether it be both simultaneously. There's some schools that report both, but that'll be half the battle for knowing which process to follow. So if you are submitting end of term course grades in JMC Teacher, here are the steps for that. So as the term draws to a close, the office will notify you when it's time to submit course grades. In JMC Teacher, you can easily edit the final course grades for your students, add any necessary comments for the report card, and then send the final course grades to the office. This process brings the current term to a close. Once you've completed the term's tasks, you can shift your focus to preparing for the upcoming term while the office professionals handle the distribution of report cards to students and families. So to edit final course grades as needed, to add comments, and then to send those grades to the office, we're going to head to Edit Course Grades in JMC Teacher. Again, we're under Edit Course Grades. Step one, you'll select a course from the courses drop-down list to view all students along with their course grades for the selected course. Fun fact, JMC will automatically calculate current course grades from the scores module or the competency-based grading module for teachers using a JMC gradebook option, eliminating the need for manual calculation. So a plug in here for JMC gradebooks. If you use a JMC gradebook and you are calculating those results to an end of term course grade, they will automatically appear here. You're going to see some, little check boxes next to these letter grades. There's absolutely nothing you need to do with this checkbox at any time. I'll spoiler alert what those check boxes are for here in just a little bit and when we go into our live look. But another plug for using a JMC gradebook. It's a great way to keep track of your scores throughout the term and then have those grades automatically appear as you go to send them to the office for the final grading session. Your other option here would be to, keep track of grades outside of JMC, whether it be a paper pencil grade book or some other grade book program, and then you can come in here and you could add the results at the end of the term just by using these drop-down lists, which would be step 2, the optional step. Select a new course grade for a student using the grade drop-down list under the term column to edit a student's final grade as needed. Fun fact, once a course grade is selected, that checkbox next to the course grade will become checked, indicating that the grade is not a calculated course grade. So if you come to this page here and you have some course grades because you're using a JMC gradebook, which I would imagine most teachers are probably using some form of a JMC gradebook, so you're probably seeing course grades here. If you see the course grades and you agree with all of those course grades, there's nothing additional you would need to do on this page other than to add any comments that you might need and then send them to the office. If you choose to override a letter grade, you can choose a new letter grade from this page, and then that check mark will appear letting you know that this is a manual override. And if you want to go back to your calculated grade, you simply remove that check mark from the checkbox and click save. And it's going to clear out this grade right here when you remove that check mark. But when you navigate away from the page, if you return, that calculated grade is going to pop back up. Helpful tip, do you want to give all kids the same course grade? Select a course grade and then click the fill grade column link to fill the entire grade column with the selected grade. So, some courses are pass fail courses, or there might be instances where you want to give all students the same mark, or maybe you have 20 students and 19 out of those 20 students receive the same mark. You can do that fill grade column and then change the 1 or 2 students that might not have the same result there. So I know a lot of our Minnesota clients have to use a course grade for MCCC reporting, and Minnesota requires at least a pass-fail grade for their elementary. So even if your school uses a standard-based report card, so the course grades don't really matter to you or to your families, they matter to the state. So this is a quick and easy way to get those passing grades updated for all of your students so that you can send those through the regular MCCC reporting process. Step 3, an optional step, and this gets more into the end of the semester, so you're probably not here yet, but you can click that weights button to edit the weighting used for the term grades or exams when you're calculating an overall year or semester grade calculation. So some folks, you might not see all of these columns. For example, you might just see a term. You might just have semesters. You might just have quarters. You might have trimesters, or you might have a quarter semester configuration like you see right here. So it's kind of up to how your school handles the end of term reporting as to what grades you're going to be required to give. We can calculate those end of term results, whether they be the semester results. If you're using a weighted percentage of quarter 1 and quarter 2 to arrive at that semester grade, that's what that weights button is going to do. And we also have the option of including an exam. Some schools have end of semester exams that they might do that contribute to that end of semester course grade. So you might have quarter 1, quarter 2, an exam that maybe has 10% of the overall grade. So you would just treat those quarters and exams appropriately using your weights. Step 4, select a comment using the comment drop-down list to display a comment on the individual student's report card. Helpful tip, if you're not seeing the comment that you're looking for, you can add comments in JMC Office, or I should say, comments can be added in JMC Office. So you might have to get somebody with office permissions or somebody that can log into that office portal to head to JMC or to grading utilities, edit comments, and then those comments, they can make those available for you on that drop-down list. Step 5, click the Save button to update any changes to the course grades or comments, and then repeat steps 1 through 5 for each of your courses to put the finishing touches on all course grades. An optional step 7, you can click the Print button to print the student grades that are displayed in the class there. And then last but not least, click the Send Grades for All Courses to the Office quick link here on the right-hand side of the page to submit all course grades to the office. So you go ahead and update your grades, add any comments that you need, and then after all of your grades are updated for all of your classes, you click that quick link one time and it sends all grades for all courses right at once there. Helpful tip, after you've submitted grades for the term, or at any time that you need to do this, you can head to File Preferences and select the upcoming term or a previous term from the current term drop-down list to begin preparing for the next term in the school year. And I know a lot of teachers, once they get to that end of term, they might be working some in the current term, and then they might have to go into the next term to do some preparation. Or to see who's on your class lists and things of that nature. You can bounce back and forth between terms at any time that you need to in JMC. Just go to File Preferences, and then you can change that current term to whatever term you're working with. Or if you want to see all of your courses for the entire year at once, you can choose year from this current term, and you'll see everything for the entire year. Just up to your preference. So let's take a live look at editing and sending course grades to the office from JMC Teacher. And I'm logged into JMC Teacher, and the first thing that you probably notice is this in red. I am being alerted by the office that it is time to import grades for quarter 1 and semester 1 to the office. So great, that's my prompt. I can go to Edit Course Grades then, Edit Course Grades. And here I'm using a JMC gradebook, so I can see all of my grades have populated from my gradebook to this course grades page. So unless I need to change one of those grades, say like, this B plus is actually an A minus, I can override that. And sorry, there we go. And you'll notice that check mark appears that I'm talking about. If I needed to go back to the original calculated grade, whatever that is, I remove my check mark, click save, and it's right there. So often get that question. A lot of times I'll get a question about the weights. One of the frequent questions that I get is from teachers that do some form of total points. They have quarter 1, quarter 2, and then they have a semester grade, and they're wondering like, well, I want my semester grade to be based off of total points. And what we usually recommend is like, well, if that semester grade is really the total of the 2 quarters, then maybe you should change your grading scheme to be just over the whole semester. But if that's not an option, you can take a look at how many points offered in quarter 1, how many points are offered in quarter 2, and then manually figure out the percentage. So if 60% of your points were offered in quarter 1, 40% were offered in quarter 2, you could use that weights button to enter 60/40 to calculate your semester grade according to total points. So that's one of the frequent questions that I get. That comments drop-down list, you can add any comments that you see fit. And once you've done this, you would save your results, move on to the next course, continue on. And then when you are ready, when all courses are ready, you click that Send Grades to the office quick link there. And it'll let you know that grades have been imported to the office. It also prompts you to publish assignments so that the online progress report reflects all coursework from the term. That's a great reminder. It's something that everybody should do, and you can do it one of 2 places. You could either go under File, Publish, and publish all of those course grades for all of your classes just by entering the current date or the end of term date and clicking that Publish button. Or you can do it from either of the grade books on the assignment scores page. There's a Publish button as well. So a best practice there would be to publish your grades the same time you submit course grades. And at any point in time, the office controls when you get to send grades. The front office staff doesn't want you sending updated grades unknowingly to the office. So, um, one of the points that I like to bring up to front office staff and teachers, if I've submitted grades and I need to make a change to a grade, as frequently happens, a kid turns something in late and you want to make sure that that's accounted for in the grade that's going to go on the report card. You can make the change, and as long as you have this link available, if you make the change and then submit grades again, the new information will overwrite the old grade. So if I sent, just a second ago, I sent all of these grades to the office and I had this B, well, oh, actually the B is a B plus because the student turned in something else. I can change it to a B plus, resubmit grades, and now that student would have a B plus on their report card instead of a B. If you run into a situation where a student has turned in something late, but you no longer have this quick link, you need to let somebody in the office know that, hey, I had an update to a grade. And what this does, and one of the problems that we were running into, um, is we had some teachers that were submitting grades. The office wasn't in the know that teachers were overriding their grades, so they were sending report cards, and left to a little bit of a communication mess. So we want the office to know whenever those updates happen. So that's our control for that, and it just requires a little communication between office staff and teachers. So, Brian, do you have anything to add, or are there any questions that are coming in on submitting course grades?
I'm not seeing any questions yet. Just a couple reminders from my experience. One for teachers that they might do a really good job of keeping their scores gradebook up to date. Sometimes they expect to see that send grades to office link on the scores gradebook. Just have to remind them they need to come here to edit course grades in order to see that link and be able to send their grades. And then if they do come to this window and they're not seeing that link, they might have to prompt somebody in the office to open up that window. I know sometimes front office people get busy and they're like, okay, it's time to send your grades, but they haven't gone in and opened up that grade acceptance window yet.
And if they don't know how, if you've got somebody in the front office that is new or new to the process, they don't know how to turn on that grade acceptance. We just did a webinar on this a couple weeks ago, I believe. So have them head over to our YouTube channel and check out Ending the Term in JMC Office, or Preparing for the End of Term in JMC Office, I think is the webinar title. So with that, let's take a look at submitting standard-based results. So if you've identified that your school also uses a standard-based report card, or in place of course grades uses a standard-based report card for your end-of-term reporting, here are the steps that you would follow. Editing and submitting a standard-based report card at the end of the term is a breeze with JMC Teacher. Enter assessment results and comments on each student's report card to communicate standard-based proficiencies. Then submit your report cards to the office and relax as they are delivered to students and families. To get started editing the report card log in to JMC Teacher and head to Edit Assessments Report Card for a Student. So we're under Edit Assessments Report Card for a Student. Step one, we'll select a course section or grade level from that course grade drop-down list in the middle, right here, to begin editing results for a specific course or grade level. Step two, you'd select a student from that student drop-down list up top there. And then we've got a couple other options there. You can select the form, but in many instances, the form and the subject area and the standard are going to automatically populate. And many of our schools will have maybe 1 or 2 page report cards. I would say 3 pages is our max. So you would actually have 3 separate forms for those. So if you're logging in there and you're looking for your social studies standards, and you're not seeing them on the report card that you're looking at, you might have to change the form, especially if your one page of your report card has, your ELA and your math standards, and maybe your science and social study standards are on page two. The form pages should be labeled appropriately so you can tell which page of the form that you're on. So that might be a change that you have to make. The subject area, for the most part, you're probably not going to have to change that unless you teach multiple grade levels. Step 5, so if you've gotten to this page so far and you've configured everything in the upper left-hand corner, but you still don't see your report card, the key here would be to select the grading term for the standards that you're looking to add results to. So once you've selected that grading term from the grading term drop-down list, that's when your standard-based report card will appear visible there. Step 6, select the appropriate proficiency mark from the drop-down list of any box with a colored triangle to manually edit results on a student's report card. So once you have properly configured your drop-down lists up here, so you've selected the proper course, you've selected a student, and you've selected the grading term, your report card is popped up, you're going to start seeing some boxes that have some colored triangles in those. And you'll notice that my ELA boxes are the only ones that have colored triangles in them right now. Well, if I look at my course or grade drop-down list, it's because I have the ELA course selected. So if I needed to edit my science results, for example, I would have to change my course to science, and then these boxes here would have the colored triangles in them. So it's all about looking for the colored triangles, and the same thing with the end of term course grades that I mentioned. If you use a JMC gradebook, whether it be the scores gradebook or a CBG gradebook, if you're using it to populate those results to a standard-based report card, the results will automatically appear here. So one way that you can make the end of term a little bit less hectic for you as a teacher is use a JMC gradebook and keep up with that gradebook as you go throughout the term. And then those results will be here for you at the end of the term when you're ready. So you don't necessarily have to scramble to get all of your grades onto your report card at the end of the term and spend that week, grinding away. You take care of that a little bit as you go, and then basically when you come to the end of the term, it's just a matter of making sure that the results are there and they are what you expect them to be. Add any comments that need to be added, and then submitting these report card forms to the office. So step 7, an optional step. Many of our schools that use a standard-based report card include a spot on there for comments. You can enter comments in that comment field to share any additional information about a student's progress on that standard-based report card. If you do not have access to that comment box, but another teacher of that student does, normally it's the homeroom teacher in an elementary situation that has access to that comment box. So we can't have two teachers that have access to the same comment box. Otherwise, they're going to be overriding each other's comments. It's definitely not a best practice. So you're going to want to know how your school handles the comments on a report card. But if you have access to this box, you can type in, hand type the comments as you see fit. And the space that you see on the form is the space that's available. So you don't want to type any extra. So once you get to the end of this form box, it will allow you to keep typing, but then when you go to print it out, you're only going to see the space available on the page. So that's just an important thing to note. The page auto saves, so no need to worry about saving your changes. And I'll show you when we do the live look how you can tell it's updating. Step 8, you repeat the above steps for all students in the class. And then step 9, click the send all grades to the office quick link to submit your grades to the office. So again, if you do not see this enabled, somebody from the office will have to turn this on for you. Once you see this quick link, you know that you have the opportunity to send those grades to the office, which is what I just said. So let's take a live look at editing an assessments report card for a student. Go home here and you can see I also have there's two alerts. My second alert here is it's time to import standard and benchmark grades for quarter 1 for all courses to the office. Perfect. I can go to edit assessments report card for a student. So again, I'm under edit assessments report card for a student. And now if I pop into this page, I'm noticing, well, this is blank. It doesn't look like I have a report card here. If I take a look in my upper left-hand corner here and just make sure that, well, I have a student, I have a form listed, I have a course or grade listed here in a subject area and a standard. Last thing I need to do is select that grading term. And once I've selected that grading term, then my report card will pop up. I've got my colored triangles indicating that I can select a result for any of these standards. Since I have ELA, my ELA course selected, those are the standards I can select. If I needed to change to maybe social studies, I just change my course or grade to social studies. And now the colored boxes appear over here in this drop down. So you might notice like, oh, why are there different colors? So the different colors are going to indicate to you whether or not you have a link made between your grade book in JMC and the report card. So if you are not calculating from the report card, they're going to be red triangles. And if you are calculating from a grade book, they're going to be green. And if you've selected the results straight, they're going to be blue. So here your comments box might be linked to the grade that you teach, or it might be linked to a specific course. In my instance, it's linked to a specific course. So if I'm going in here and trying to enter a result or trying to enter some comments in here and I can't add my cursor to add results, I might need to change the course or grade up here. I think typically these are up to the homeroom teacher to enter those comments. So you might want to go to the grade. If you're a homeroom teacher for a fourth grade student, you could change to fourth grade and that box should be enabled for you. Right here, you notice the last save date, it timestamps it. So I've got the date and time that it was last updated. Pretty much anytime I make a change, if I change this result here, now it's telling me that it auto saved. So the last thing that I would do, so I would make sure my report cards are good for all students and that I've got comments for all students. Once I'm done, once I'm through my list, I'd click this send grades quick link on the right hand side and that will submit my report card results. Brian, do you have anything to add or any questions coming through?
Nothing to add and no questions at this time, Jake.
The last thing that I will note is, this is a fairly tedious way to get results onto a standard-based report card is to go to each student's report card and come in here and fill in the result for each standard for each kid. That can take some time. In our ABCs of JMC Teacher, we go through the different options for getting results onto a standard-based report card. So if you're interested in how to streamline that process, I would suggest you check out that video and check out the timestamps to know where to go to within that specific video. But we have those fill score column options available on the edit assessments for a course or grade page. So a couple different ways you can either edit assessments for a student. So here are all of my standards here, and I can use the fill score column here as well. And I can also do the same thing under edit assessments for a course or grade. So we give you a few different options for getting those results onto a standard-based report card. But once you've got those on there, again, publish, change your preferences to the upcoming term, and you should be all set. And if there aren't any questions or if there aren't any comments, that is pretty much it for the end of term in JMC Teacher. Again, if you have any questions about best practices or you're unsure how something works, please reach out to our training team, training@jmcinc.com. We can spend a little time with your front office staff or with individual teachers as needed to help you out and help you get your grades submitted. So, with that, if there are any questions, we'll hang out for a little bit. Otherwise, I thank you for joining us for this weekly webinar, and thank you for choosing JMC, and we will catch you on the flip side.